Hi, this is Chelsea.
This is Michael, and we are Coffee with Creators.
Come sit with us and let's talk about content creation and all things creative.
So welcome to our scrappy little podcast. It's Friday. Happy Friday, everyone. If you are in Pacific Standard Time. I have a special guest today. His name is Iskren, or people call him E. He is a full-time content creator, and he lives... Iskren, where do you live again?
I live in Bulgaria, Europe.
In Bulgaria?
Yes.
Is it Friday in Bulgaria right now?
It is Friday, and Friday is almost over. So if you want to know what happens in the future, I can let you know.
I love it. You live in the future. Tell me how tomorrow goes.
Well, tomorrow for you is going to be nice weather. So, as always, a lake
I know,
here.
always. I see that you're it's very nice and serene in your background. For people who are watching this, he's in a very calm environment right now. So I'm guessing everyone might be going to bed. I'm guessing.
It's
a little quiet over there.
p.m. here, and the studio is pretty much empty. Usually I have other people because I share the studio space and the office space with other people as well. So usually we have a lot more vibe and, you can hear voices of people. But right now it's really quiet. And also I shared on Twitter today that they, a few feet away, they started a massive construction of a building. So the next 2 years is going to be a total disaster for me.
Oh, no.
Because it's all drilling, for foundations, and it's absolutely terrible. And I have to wait for them to take a break so that I can record.
Oh no, you know what? I've been complaining for how many months now on when I'm recording an audio, a podcast or even voiceovers, that my neighbor keeps mowing his lawn. It's almost like every day. I'm like, how tall does your grass grow? Because it's every day, and I couldn't record anything because it's like every single time it's either him mowing the lawn or I hear airplanes flying by because I'm near an airport. Mm-hmm. But I can't imagine construction going on, especially for a content creator. That's really frustrating.
I can't help you with the airplanes, but I can help you fix the lawn issue. Really? Invest in a robot lawnmower and just gift it to him. Because it's like an iRobot, like a vacuum cleaner, but it's a lawnmower. I have this at home.
I've actually never seen those.
Yeah, they're really cute. Probably twice as big as a regular vacuum iRobot thingy, but it's probably twice as big. And that thing runs every day, but it's totally quiet.
Really?
Yeah.
I might actually do that.
Yeah, it's really nice, and he won't be stressing out of doing everything like manual labor. And you'll be the good neighbor to invest in a present like this. Exactly.
It's a win-win. It's a win-win.
Absolutely. You can do a review about it and then just gift it to him.
That's a good idea, actually. So since we're on the topic, right? Since we're on the topic of doing product reviews and stuff, E actually has a very, very good YouTube channel. So if you guys haven't checked it out, please do check it out. E, how can they type in your name on YouTube that they can find it?
My handle is This Is E. That's how I decided to name the channel, because I can't just name it one letter. So if people search for This Is E or just youtube.com/This Is E, it's going to come up.
Okay, perfect. Because I always tell my friends, I say, you guys need to watch E's channel, because I discovered you, I think, a few months ago when I found you did a review of these different various headphones, right? And you did a blind test.
The blindfold test, yeah.
A blindfolded test where you had friends, or I don't know if they're friends or family, but you basically had them blindfolded, and you had them wear different headphones, and you asked them to rate which one sounds the best and all that stuff. And I thought that was really good, because from all the headphone reviews that I usually watch, it's just one person, and it's one person's opinion, and sound is very subjective. And what it really proved to me that your video is that sound is completely subjective.
Absolutely.
Like, there are obvious good and better quality headphones, more for the money, all that stuff. But ultimately, it boils down to what people prefer. It was a really good video. I honestly thought it was awesome, and then I think I retweeted it, and then or I shared it on Instagram. I forgot what it was,
That's
and
how
that's
I
how
found
E and
about
I
your channel
connected.
too, because of
Oh, okay.
your reaction from the post. And then
I
I
see.
started. I think I opened the Instagram first. I fell in love with everything that you do on Instagram, and then I was like,
Thank you.
he probably has a YouTube channel, and you obviously had one. So I pretty much binge watched everything.
Isn't it amazing though? Like that's one of the things that I love about social media is the fact that you can find someone like easily their work right now. I mean, I grew up in an age where you have to create a portfolio online, send your physical resume wherever, and then have them ask if do you have a website. But
Yeah,
now because of social media, it's really just
it's fascinating.
click, right? It's amazing. Link to link to link. It's just so much easier. And we're even trying to make that even easier now with having just like a single link and like a bunch of different. Anyway, but let me ask you, E, how did you get started on YouTube? Like, was that a plan of yours from the very beginning, or did you kind of just stumble on, upon it, or what's the story?
It's a very interesting story, by the way. I've always been into creating videos for my family because I used to live in the States. So every year I would come back home to Bulgaria and I would do like this mashup content of, all our time together with my friends and going to places and having fun. So creating all those mashup videos transitioned over to friends and family asking me to do like short videos for occasions like anniversaries or other stuff that people might enjoy. So this is how I pretty much got into video editing as a really, really basic hobby. I would say I was using iMovie and it was still fascinating to me. But later in time, you know, that was probably a year before I started YouTube. I really started watching YouTube, like consuming YouTube content a lot. So I was watching all those videos, and one time I showed a video. I think it was like Lou from Unbox Therapy or somebody else. And I was like, "Do you
Okay.
think I can do this?" And she was like, "Yeah, sure." And this is how I started. But I started at the Casey Neistat wave. So I began doing vlogs because I wasn't sure what exactly I want to put out there. But
Yeah.
here's the interesting part. Turns out, probably 7 or 8 years ago, before I started, so that was probably around 2010 or something, I was gifted a video where I was doing a smartphone review of the original Apple iPhone. So, and then I remembered that I had this intention of doing video reviews, but that was in 2010. Silly me, I should have started in 2010. But I
Right.
didn't.
I think a lot of us feel that way.
Yeah. But I had the idea, I had the passion
Yeah.
for it, so this is how I started. And then I seriously focused on it the last year and a half as a way to to provide for my family and as a business pretty much.
hmm Was it because like a huge part of it I'm imagining was due to the pandemic?
No, actually, it was. I really started to focus on it before the pandemic, and the pandemic
Oh,
didn't
okay.
help much because I had just set up this studio when we had to actually stay at home. So I had to move away again, most of my stuff, so that I can keep on pushing out content while I'm at home. But now I'm
Okay.
building my own studio at home, so it will be a dedicated physical little house that will be in the yard. That will be a studio, and it will be just for creating content.
Oh, that's awesome. I envy that because I have a little room and I wish I was just thinking about it yesterday. I said, I wish I had a little like cabin
Yeah.
outside
Well,
where I can
it's
just
not going to be that much bigger than your room. Like, don't imagine
okay.
something very fancy. But it's a standalone space. It's like 25 square meters. I'm not sure if it's converted how big it is exactly. But it will be very clever, I would say, or I'll try to make it very clever. Where I have like the entire place is built around the fact that I'm going to be doing videos. Like I'll have built-in paper screens into the ceiling that are hidden. I have an entire wall of storage in the middle of which I have a dedicated top-down set for shots. So, and in such a small space, I have so many power outlets planned that
Yeah.
the electrician guy that was actually coming today at home to finalize some of the schematics, he was shocked. He was like, "What are you gonna be doing in this place? Like, you have, I have 4 outlets on the floor. I have 6 outlets on the ceiling. I have 8 built into the wardrobe. I have 3 other on the wall. It's like outlets everywhere." I'm like, "Listen, man, I'm doing video recording. When I need a power
Just don't
outlet,
worry
I
about
just
it.
need it to be there."
It's like you need a nuclear reactor here.
Yeah, yeah.
No, actually, that's really good. It's purposeful. It's yeah, it has a lot of the things that I actually need, and that was really the problem that I have with having to work out of my office. Like, it does look nice, like aesthetically, it's pleasing. The problem is the reality. I mean, if I were to flip this camera around, you'll see all the mess here, and you know what I mean. That's like the reality of things, and I never hide from it. I say, you guys think that the office is always tidy. It's not. Like,
Yeah.
there's boxes everywhere. There's cameras and just
It's
like
a process,
a
yeah.
lot of actually boxes. It's a production, right? It's a production room. So that's the thing that I kind of want to have, like a space where I can just be messy and have one area where I can look pretty nice. But for now, this will work. But I'm excited for that. So I'm hoping that you might. I don't know. I'm guessing you might make a video about it because I definitely want to see that.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I hope I will be able to move into it within a month or so, because I've been
Okay.
waiting a lot of time because of the pandemic. A lot of things were delayed as far as the construction. So I was waiting for
Okay, yeah.
for windows, for the concrete before that, because we had to dig out and build poor concrete for the foundations. So it's not that complicated as far as the structure, but it was really prolonged before because of the pandemic. But I'm really hoping that within a month and a half, I can start, testing some A-roll shots and doing some work from there.
I'm excited to see that. I really am. If you guys, because you guys need to watch E's video and how he takes a lot of time, makes a lot of effort, like
Thank you.
puts a lot of effort towards his videos, and that's why I get excited when it's not just. I mean, there's the vlog style which a lot of people prefer. I'm not one of those people. I used to follow Casey, but even that to me was just. I mean, I followed Casey because he was popular. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
his life was really interesting. But for the most part, I don't really prefer any vlogs. But
Yeah.
he has a very different type of channel, and it's one of those things that I kind of aspire to. Like, the way he does like his productions, like his thumbnails are amazing, and like it's just like so much work, and I'm like, I wish I could do that. And yeah, that's why I'm always like excited to talk about him. And when we were chatting just a few weeks ago, and I mentioned that, hey, I'd love for you to be on the podcast, you actually mentioned that you were never invited on a pod. You've never been on a podcast
Yes,
before,
that's
which
my
is
first
surprising.
podcast. That's my first podcast, and it's very special to me. I shall remember this for the rest of my life.
Aw, thank you. Well, I'm gonna try to keep it special. I'm gonna try to keep it a
No,
very
seriously,
nice
thank you for the
experience.
invitation. I feel honored, and it's a, as I say at the end of each video, it's an absolute pleasure.
It's an absolute pleasure. I know that's E's like little tagline right there. I love it. And so you guys need to watch it. But before we I could keep on like talking about how awesome your channel is, can you tell me what like, other than the unboxing or the reviews, did you ever think of the direction of your channel when you started? Like, was it like I want to do tech reviews, or did you have something else in mind? Can you tell a little bit more about that process?
Somehow I knew I wanted to do product reviews, not necessarily tech, but some kind of product type of content. And that's how I actually started with my very first product review, which was a Sony camera external monitor for like back in the day. I used to have a Sony A6300. That was my camera. So without it just had a tilt screen. It wouldn't swivel, so you can't really see what you're recording. So I bought this monitor from Aperture, which, by the way, Aperture at the time weren't as big as they are today.
Yes, I remember that.
So I focused on this monitor. I did a review, and it did really well. And after that, 2 or 3 videos after that, I did a OnePlus review, because I had the very first OnePlus when it came out, the phone. Then I did a OnePlus 3T, I think, and that thing skyrocketed because I published that video. I knew I wanted to do product reviews, and that video just, I went to bed with 78 subscribers and woke up with 1,000.
What?
Yes. And I was like,
That's crazy.
Okay, I know the path. This is it. I like the process of it. I think the most challenging thing is the actual scripting or the story of it. Because each story needs to be, first of all, at least to me, in my perspective, it needs to be interesting. It needs to have a value somehow. And it needs to be more than just, blobbing out specs and features, which everybody knows about.
That's I love what you said there, because everything that you've said basically is kind of like a reflection of what I want my channel to be. And I agree, like the hardest part of any process like that I have for creating any of the videos is the script writing. Usually it takes me a day, 2 days to just write the script. And then I start shooting A-roll, B-roll, and then I decide to change the script again. So it takes a long time for the script, because the filming aspect of it, like I'm a visual person, like I can see it in my head.
Yeah.
And I can somehow easily improve it, right? Like if I take a video of a certain angle, in my head I'm like, you know what? I think I can still improve on this. So it's easy to just hit the record button again, and then drop it in the computer. But to write a script, that's the most challenging part for me.
It is very difficult.
And Chelsea always said this. Oh, by the way, I didn't even mention this. People are probably wondering, where is Chelsea? Because I mentioned it in the beginning of before Iskren and I started recording. But Chelsea's on vacation right now, so it's just going to be me. But yeah, we'll hopefully see her in the next few weeks. I think she's going to be off for a while. But, say hi to her. She's fine. And hopefully she'll be back soon. Yeah. But anyway, that's a weird way of saying, I'm so sorry, Chelsea, if you're listening to this. But going back to script writing, it's Chelsea always said this. Like she said, she doesn't like doing any product reviews where, no, it's funny because when you do a product review, people will always comment and they will say, that's a terrible way of reviewing it. You didn't even say any of the specs. So I'm like, have we really gotten to be a very lazy society now that you need someone else to tell you what the specs are, if you can actually just look it up on the actual website before you purchase it, or even on the box? But I get it. I get it. It's just not the thing that I like. And I'm glad that you actually said that, that you don't like just spewing out specs. They're important. Obviously, you have to mention them at some point. But there's a lot of channels out there who they just kind of read the specs, and not to dig on them. It's just not my thing. That's why I like what E is creating. It's just refreshing to me.
If it's something that you get for the first time, you're one of the few people that have their hands on the product, then it's absolutely natural, and you should be, you should tell the audience what the specs are and what they're seeing. But usually with my content, I'm always late, and I'll be late for a long time, before I reach a certain level where I would be getting, products ahead of time, or pre-production models or stuff like that, hopefully one day. But until that point, I'm always late. And the fact that I live in Bulgaria does not help either, because I'm still waiting for the iPhone 13 mini to arrive, which should have arrived today, by the way. So you can see how big of a delay there is between product releases and the time I can grab one. And I've accepted that. Actually, I would prefer to wait a little bit longer for the initial wave of popular videos to
die down.
Yeah, die down before I jump in and create something.
See, that's the thing. That's it. I think this is exactly why we get along so much, because that's also how I think. Like I'm one of those who, obviously it's super exciting to get something for the first time. I mean, for like one of the early adopters, I guess, or people who to get a preview of a product. It's always exciting. But there was a problem when I first started doing YouTube videos, and that was I was always rushing and trying to get my hands on the latest, because I wanted to be in that wave of people. but it was just not realistic for me.
was not,
for me,
yeah.
not maybe not for everyone, but for me, it was definitely not realistic. And so I decided, instead of me just giving up and saying, "That's it, I can't be a reviewer, I can't do anything anymore because I'm always late," I did exactly what he's doing, like how he looks at it. It's like, just wait for the first wave, the initial wave to kind of die down, and then you can share your own opinion. At least you have time to actually really dive into it and to just kind of enjoy it and really experience it, aside from just being the first to do it.
And
to me, not
you're in
being the
Mecca
first right now
of tech. Also, you are in LA.
Yeah, and it's really ironic. It's really ironic, but I always also just tell myself, right? Like I tell myself that people will most likely like my content not because I'm the 1st, but because I'm sharing my own personal opinion. And so I've gotten really comfortable with that. I've gotten really comfortable with, it doesn't matter if people don't agree with me. Some people will, and those are my audience, right? And even if I have a lot of audiences that don't agree with me, and that's completely fine. I think variety, I think having different tastes and having different opinions is what makes everything interesting.
Yeah.
Right? If we all had the same taste and everything, then every product out there is going to look the same. They're all going to perform the same, and nothing is interesting anymore. The idea is for me to try to give different perspectives so that the people who might be attracted to that particular product would find it and say, "Hey, I like that. I'm glad I found Michael's channel." But that's mostly on the product side, right? Lately, I've been doing a lot of different things, and E and I were kind of just chatting about this earlier, about the direction of YouTube or our channels. And I have a very weird way of looking at things and kind of directing my path on making videos. How about you, E? Do you have a specific idea? Are you going to stick with just doing product reviews, for example? Are you going back to vlogs? What's the overall goal?
Well, I've started experimenting. Sorry, I started experimenting more with tutorial type of content recently. First of all, because of sponsor opportunities that I didn't want to miss and learn from them, but also because, I wanted to see how that would react, because usually tutorials give a lot of value, but they're very difficult to present in a way that they wouldn't be, too simple for the mass audience, yet too complicated for people that, don't have the experience with. And it's challenging, and they have been paying off, and I've been getting a lot of nice feedback from the YouTube community and from the people in the comments saying that, they're doing great. So the way I envision it, it will be more of a balance. There will be, of course, product reviews, something that I love. There will be setups and everyday carry videos, again, things that I love to put together. But also there will be more tutorials, I assume, or more like educational videos. I would put it.
Okay. I like your focus on like really driving value to your audience. I myself, like, a lot of times it's more on, I just want to share what I like kind of thing.
Yeah. But that's,
you're very
that's a value, like you're slowly shifting. You become the brand, Michael, because, I come to your channel not only because of the thing that you're showing, because sometimes the thing might not be interesting to me or to the average viewer, but that viewer might be a big fan of yours, so they would come to your channel, and you would be the product, the way you behave, the way you think, the way more of a entertainment.
Yes. And that's kind of what I want, because that takes off the pressure. First of all, E, thank you. But yeah, it's what I like, because it takes the pressure of trying to be like, I've given up on the fact that I'm not going to, basically I've accepted the fact that I'm not going to please everyone.
Yeah, absolutely.
And all I'm going to do is I'm going to share what I like, and people who like the same thing will like it, right?
Yeah.
So I appreciate that. Yeah, it's really nice to hear someone say that, because like part of the journey on YouTube, or just content creation in general, it's kind of lonely.
It's
a
kind
of
balance.
isolating.
It's a fine balance that can give you peace of mind or make you go crazy. because
Yes.
you want to make sure that you satisfy everybody, and at the same time you're doing this because you love doing it. But
Yes, exactly.
if you overstep the boundary, then that might turn into some kind of a monstrosity that would just stress you out too much.
Have you ever been super stressed at the point where you kind of just you felt like I don't want to do this?
Yeah, I have. I haven't really like burned out or anything because I have more experience from past endeavors, of trying to protect myself from stuff like that. But I do get a hint and early warnings of things that might really stress me out. So I've done it before with YouTube, and I try to step back and I try to think as if I'm doing my very first YouTube video, back when there was nobody to watch it, and you were like, you know what, I want to do a video. What should it be? What should I say? And if I think this way, then normally it comes out great. And if I like it,
Okay. Yeah. It's chances are if you like it, then chances are your audience is going to like it too.
yeah. But chances are I never like it that much, so.
Actually, let's talk about that for a second, right? Like you said that you know signs, you know the signs when you start to feel like you're getting there, where you're stressing out, and maybe it's a sign of an upcoming burnout, right? And burnout is a real thing, and maybe right, back then when you say burnt out, it feels like it can only happen in a real job. I'm using air quotes with real jobs, but as content creators, it's a real job. We get paid to do the stuff that we do, and nothing is free. I've always said this, like nothing is free. When people say, "Oh, they're sending you free products," like it's not free, because free means I don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
But the fact that I have to create a video, take pictures, share it, and all that stuff, I do work basically. That's not free. So actually, product exchange is the cheapest form of payment, if I'm being honest. But
That's a very
I never
good
realized
point,
it's
actually.
it
I'll
really is the
elaborate that
cheapest.
in a second.
Okay. Actually, before you do that, I just wanted to say
Yeah, go
that
ahead.
what is the thing that how do you try to battle this or confront this feeling, or what are the signs? I guess what I'm trying to say is
The
because a lot
simplest
of
sign
people
for me is it's really simple. Usually, when I go to bed and I turn off everything, like I've played I've watched some TV and I'm ready to go to sleep, and I close my eyes, then I start think of the intro for the video that I need to do tomorrow. Like I start envisioning what type of challenge I need to tackle, what sort of like movement I want to make, what will be the lighting and all those sort of stuff. And this is what puts me to sleep. Like I think about it, then I dream about it, and I wake up in the morning and I have this concept of mine, and I'm eagerly waiting to come to the studio so I can do it. If that thing goes away, or if I think of the video that I need to do tomorrow and I want to, excuse my language, puke in my mouth a little bit, then that's the first sign of I need to step back and rethink what's going on, because it's not, it doesn't bring me joy, as Marie Kondo likes to say.
Yeah, no, I like that. I like that you said that, because people who get into this space, who get into any job really, but particularly because this is the Coffee with Creators podcast, is, content creators in general, you think that in the beginning you're full of energy and you're full of zest and you're just so inspired, you want to keep creating, especially when you have momentum. But sometimes burnout even comes after the fact that, even if people are encouraging you, even if you're being received well, even if you're getting results, they come and go, at least from my experience.
Yeah.
And it's very important for you to identify them before it actually happens, because in my experience, he's been fortunate that I think you've managed to really basically find it before, like identify it before it actually happens. But I have so many experiences wherein it's almost like I really can't do anything. Like I don't want to get out of bed, and it's just so depressing in the sense that I look at my stuff and I say, I built all of this, like these videos, I made all of these videos, and suddenly I just don't care for them anymore. And suddenly I just don't want to do it anymore. and that's like really bad. So it can actually hold you back a lot. And I think it's really important to address that, especially if you're a new creator, that it will happen. So you just have to really be mindful about it and identify it, like just what E said. But E, you wanted to touch on, or you wanted to elaborate on what I just said earlier about getting free products. What did you want to say?
I wanted to ask you actually, I had a question for you about that. Do you have a feeling, and it's not a more, you mentioned that people, they're like, oh, they send you free products and they have this idea of your fantasy life where, it's all sunshine and rainbows. Do you have this feeling that sometimes people don't understand the weight of your type of work and don't actually see your work as something serious?
Absolutely. I always have that feeling.
Okay.
He's like breathing a sigh of relief. He's not alone. And actually, that's one of the hardest topics. I think I asked Chelsea that. No, it wasn't Chelsea. It was someone else. Another content creator, and I asked them, so how do you talk about what you do to your family? Is it something that you actually openly say, I create YouTube videos, or I do this, or is it something that you kind of say under your breath, like, oh yeah, on the side I do videos, because it's like a little embarrassing to kind of explain. And yeah, I completely get that. Here's an example, actually. Happened to me a few months ago. I was talking to a friend not a friend, but like an acquaintance. I haven't seen him in years. And we were at a pool party, and he's a little bit older, and there's, different types of people. Most people like to talk about themselves, and this is fine. I'm actually the type of person, when we meet in like an actual person, I ask a lot of questions. I ask a lot of questions about what you do, how your life is, and I'm just generally curious like that. And when I do that, people basically start talking and talking and talking, which is fine, right? Like I enjoy it. And this guy kept talking, telling me about his life, all the things that he's done. And then he turns the conversation around and he goes, so what do you do? And I said, oh, it kind of stopped me for a second, because it's like weird for me to say. If I say content creator, they'll be like, what? Because he's a little bit older. He's like, what is that? If I say Instagram, it's just going to sound even weirder for him. And then so I said, oh, I make YouTube videos. But that also has a stereotype, right? So it's kind of like,
but
it's a
that's
very
the thing,
tricky.
You're a producer.
That's a good way of putting. I should just say that.
What do you do? I'm a producer.
Yeah,
Because
I produce
you produce video content, and not only you produce social media content, photography, and all those stuff. And that's what I love about this whole YouTube journey, because it's
I love that.
you wear so many hats, and you could never get bored literally with doing YouTube, because you have to be a good script writer or idea generator. You need to be a good videographer. You need to understand about tech and gear and how to use it. You need to be good at photography, something that you're absolutely great at. And I'm actually learning a lot from you. You have to be a good graphic designer. You have to be a good editor. You have to be good at SEO and promoting. There's so many hats that you have to wear, and you could never get bored from that. So really, you are a producer.
That I'm gonna steal that, E.
Yeah,
I'm gonna change my bio into producer.
That's my bio actually on Instagram.
Is it really? I'm gonna
producer.
copy you.
I'm not sure.
I'm gonna copy. I'm gonna do exactly that, E. I like that. I like that very much, because it really does put things into perspective, I think. Because it is a serious thing. Like you mentioned earlier that some people don't take it seriously. Like, oh, he's just playing around. It's not. Like, I get stressed out. Actually, just last night I was talking to my wife, and she was wondering why I was so stressed out, because I'm like, oh, I need to finish 4 videos this month, and I'm like, I'm barely done with 1.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I need to do 4 more. And she's like, why don't you take a break? Why don't you just relax for a bit, because you're stressed out? I said, because I don't get paid.
Yeah.
If I don't do anything, I don't get paid. And that's the gravity of things, right? So when people say, oh, it's easy to be a content creator, I get it. I get why they think it's easy, because it's fun. It looks like we're having fun. It's kind of like when I used to work in an actual office building, and I was part of the advertising media group. And so there's only like 3 of us, but we're all joking around. And, people from the other office would walk in, just like wagging or pointing their fingers and saying, "You guys aren't working." We're actually working.
Yeah.
It's just we know how to have fun while we're working. And so people can't seem to put those things together. Like they feel like work shouldn't be fun, but it's exactly not the case. I think work can be fun. And so that's kind of like what they see. That's how I see it, when people look at my channel and say, Michael has the perfect life. He gets free products. Like, not really. I mean, I appreciate that people think that way, right? Like they think
I didn't tell anybody about my YouTube channel, besides my wife, of course, for probably the first 2 years or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's a long time.
Yeah, because, well, it's easier for me because I live in Bulgaria. We speak a different language, and my content is targeted in the US, UK, India, and Canada for the most part. So it was easy for me not to tell, but I didn't tell not because they wouldn't find out later on, but because I didn't want to hear anybody's opinion. Because nobody would really take it serious at that time. And the few people that, eventually learned, the reaction wasn't very supportive, let's put it this way, even close friends and so forth. Because everybody would, they would watch something that you did, and, mind you that you're still starting up and building momentum, and you're investing into gear, you're investing into stuff that you want to review. You're way behind in your in your balance sheet of expenses and stuff like that, and you're struggling, and they come to you and they're like, you know what, I watched your video last night. I have some notes for you if you want to, and I'm saying this as a friend, but I have some notes that I'm sure that if you take my notes seriously, you would have a much better performance on YouTube. And you're like, yeah, you know what? I don't want to know about the notes because
this is coming from someone who has never made a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. It's like me walking up to a carpenter and telling him how to build a house.
Yeah.
Like I can barely build a Lego set. So that's very true. I like that. It is the reality of being a YouTuber. I actually don't like that term as well, YouTuber, because I don't feel like I need to be put in a box where I'm only on YouTube. You know what I mean?
Specific, yeah.
Yeah. So I like producer. I really like that. I'm definitely gonna do that.
Michael's a full-time producer.
I'm a full-time producer. I love it.
Repeat that after me. Michael is a full-time
producer. There you go.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so did you just kind of put your head down and started working and trying to grow your channel, and then people started to notice it? Or at some point, did you actually introduce yourself to your friends and say, or if they might have asked you and said, so what do you do now? And you say, produce some videos. Or did you just kind of just like let it happen?
I just let it happen. But I seriously noticed the way people change their behavior once you get to a certain, or you pass a certain threshold. Because once you start getting some serious views, and your subscriber count is growing, not that my channel is big or anything, but it's more serious than it just starting out. Once you start getting products, you start getting sponsors and partners and advertisers to work with, then the reaction of people is way different. They no longer give you advice. Actually, most of them no longer want to talk about it.
I know why, but can you tell me why you think they don't want to talk about it anymore?
They don't want to talk about it because, well, some of them, those that don't want to talk about it, I believe, could be jealous at some point. Or they want to be part of this. They want to have this, whatever they think it is, but they don't want to admit it to themselves. So it's easier for them to complain about their problems and their work and not ask you how you're doing.
Yes, that's completely, to me, accurate. Because when you create something from scratch, it's always going to be bumpy. It's always going to be tough. And I never knew that it was going to be I didn't think it was real when people said, you're going to have a lot of haters and you're going to have a lot of naysayers.
Yeah.
Maybe not haters, but just naysayers saying that you can't make it work. And I never understood that. And when I started hearing opinions of other people, I started to wonder, why is that?
Yeah.
Why is that? And then when you start to get traction, just like what E said, when you start to have momentum and you get more serious projects, you don't hear from them anymore.
Yeah.
And I really think it's a reflection on how they approach their own lives. It's like they don't want you to succeed, because if you do, then they start to question what they've done with their own lives. Like, what are the things that I wanted to start but never did because I was too afraid?
Yeah.
And so that was the hardest part, right? The starting, because if no one believes in your capabilities, your potential, how can you believe yourself, right? And so I kind of did the same thing, E. I just put my head down and just started working. And my intention when I started the YouTube was I needed to make a video every week, no matter how bad it was.
Yeah.
The reason why I wanted to make a video every week was because I needed to learn how to edit, learn how to shoot video, learn how to capture audio. This is the biggest challenge for me, was capturing audio. Oh my God. To this day, I still sweat when I think about audio. But repetition helps you. Yeah, and then you learn. And I kept my head down, and the naysayers kind of just went away. And now I don't hear from them. As a matter of fact, I hear people just randomly, people I've never heard from a long time ago, who've never said anything, who were indifferent, right? Like they were not supportive. They were not unsupportive. They were just kind of just lurking. Suddenly they all started coming out of the woodwork and be like, I love what you're doing, keep doing it. And it's weird too, because they don't, like, for example, I'm friends with them on Facebook.
Yeah.
And they would never post it like publicly.
Yeah.
They would instead just message me. It's almost like they were complimenting me silently, which is fine for me.
Yeah.
But it's just really interesting how people, like you said, when you reach a certain threshold, and I'm not saying by any means that I'm successful, right? Like, he has a bigger channel than me right now. So it's like, it's not that. It's just,
it's not about numbers though. Yeah.
It's not about numbers, exactly. And actually, let's go there, E. So how do you think of your channel? Because people look at you probably and be like I'm one of those, actually. When I see your channel, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so excited. And when you said that you were going to find time to be on this podcast, I got really excited. I was telling my friends about it. But how do you see yourself? Like, do you see yourself as that person? Obviously not, but can you kind of describe it to me? Like, how do you view yourself as a brand, as this personality?
How I see myself in the future, or
Yeah,
how I would describe myself right now.
Like, how would you describe yourself? Maybe I didn't word that correctly, but the whole imposter syndrome thing, where people look at you and they think, this person's great. Like, this is awesome. Do you feel the same? Like, do you feel like people have a very skewed image of who you really are based on your content? Or
I can't really say if they see me wrong, honestly. I have great feedback from all the people online, which is something that motivates me a lot. I'm not sure how it is with you or with other creators, but I don't have that many negative comments or haters or,
I have a bunch of those.
What do you call those? Trolls?
Trolls? I have a bunch of those.
I don't have that many. And actually, I embrace any type of interaction, even if it's negative. Actually, if it's negative, it makes it more interesting to me, because I want to try and turn this negative emotion into something positive. And in many cases, I succeed in that. And that brings me a lot of satisfaction. Because
you are a much, much better person than me, because the reason why I have a bunch of trolls is because I keep feeding the trolls, really. It's my fault, to be honest. But because the reason why I do that is two things, actually. Like what you said, it's interesting to me. It's interesting to me when people have negative opinions and, about me, my content, not about other people, but about me. Because the way I see it is, if I was an old man, if I was sitting in front of my house and someone walked by my house and said, your lawn sucks, I'd be like, come over here and say that to me again. Or show me your lawn. That's how I feel. It's my content. It's my channel. If you have something to say about it, then then sure, I'll play along, right? But that's my opinion. But I love what you did, because I recently just saw someone on Twitter post this, and his goal for every negative comment that he gets is to try to win that person back. So he would get random haters, and someone messaged him about something like, "I wish you die," or something like that. And instead of him replying and saying whatever it is, he looks at the guy's profile picture and he goes, "Hey, I like your hair in that profile picture." It's like, honestly, it's really good. What do you use? What product do you use? And the guy replies, he's like, "Oh, my girlfriend helps me fix my hair, whatever." And he's like, and he responds again. He goes, "Also, your teeth, like, they're so white." And just started complimenting the guy. The guy turns around. He goes, "You know what? I was being mean to you. I didn't mean to. It was just really a hard day for me."
Yeah,
and
usually.
he managed to turn it around. Yeah,
usually that's
it's
what
awesome.
happens. If you try to turn them, and the only time I would really get irritated if that is when they don't respond back, because I really want them to respond back, and I really want to make sure that either that person understands that he's wrong at this negative emotion that he's transferring over, or if I've made a mistake, I would admittedly say, you're absolutely right. I forgot about this. And I would even pin that comment up top and make sure that people know about it, because I'm really careful at giving advice, especially when it comes to investing into technology and expensive stuff like this.
There is a responsibility there.
Yeah, there is.
With the content, right?
I posted this video about a monitor guide, which is doing very well still. It's I would call it like an evergreen content. It performs well for a long time, and it brings not a spike, but steady amount of traffic. And I get a lot of questions from people asking me like, I'm just about to buy this monitor. What do you think about it? Is it good, or should I wait for something else? And knowing that this thing costs like $1,000 or even more, you have this responsibility, and you try to make sure that they take the decisions themselves, and you're not steering them just to to close the topic.
Absolutely. That's a good point, because I also think that no one should trust YouTubers, content creators, like, with a drop of a hat. You know what I mean? It's just like whatever I say or whatever E says, that shouldn't be the final. You should still make your own decision. And I think E and I are aware, when we create content, that what we're doing is we're trying to bring light to something so that you can make a decision. Because I think that's the reason why I say this, is because I also get comments from people who say, your opinion is wrong, you're dumb for making that, for saying that. And I'm like, no, it's how I feel. Yeah. And I'm not trying to gather likes or whatever. I'm trying to bring to light the things that I experienced, with regards to this product. And that shouldn't be the final. What should be final is your decision. Like, do you agree? If you don't agree with what I said, then maybe you should buy it. You know what I mean? I'm not going to say don't buy it or don't do it, but there is a responsibility there that I admit I probably should be thinking more about, because it's a heavy burden to try to convince someone to buy something, especially if you don't really believe in it, right? So there's a balance there. But yeah, I'm glad you actually brought that up, because that's really a very interesting point.
If somebody asks me, should I buy this or that? If it's a clear choice, like if it's something that it's more than obvious, then that you shouldn't invest in product A because it's crappy or something, that's fine. But when both of them work, usually I would say I would choose this because, and I would give a reason why I would personally choose it. But I wouldn't say you should buy, product B because whatever. I try never to say what people should do, because it's a fine line not to make a mistake and steer people the wrong way.
Yes,
that's why I get frustrated sometimes at people with, the large channels, really the huge channels, that sometimes they get so huge, and then they forget how much responsibility they carry, and that frustrates me, because I've been a victim of purchasing stuff because my guru says this, and then I get it, and it's like it's totally not worth it. And I spent I spent my last savings for this, and I'm like, oh, I shouldn't have done
And
this.
I think this is why it's totally okay to have a different opinion when you're posting something online.
Yeah.
Because you're giving people the choice. That's what it really is. Like you see a lot of content creators, like the big ones.
Yeah.
My problem with them right now is they all have the same content.
Yeah.
At this point, like it's the new advertising, to be honest. You know what I mean? Apple doesn't even buy advertising space anymore because all they have to do is send people products and they advertise for them because it's the most effective. But the problem is, and I'm just, using Apple just as top of my head, but the problem is a lot of times these campaigns can be actually hurtful for creators because I feel like they all just started to look the same. And honestly, like to me, my personal thing is I hate being similar to anyone else.
Yeah.
That's just me. Like I always like to go against the grain.
Yeah.
So it's like if someone actually, this is one of the things that I've been doing lately. If a brand reaches out and says, we would like to send you this product and these are the details and we would like you to share this to your audience. One of the questions that I ask them is, how many other people are doing the same thing and what is their
That's a good
timeline?
point.
Like, am I sharing this the same day or the same month or something? Because I want to make sure that I don't get drowned in the same content.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because my content is going to get lost with the rest of them, and that just really annoys me. It might perform well, but
what
it's
would make you
annoying to me.
do, like, what type of product would make you do a full dedicated video?
If it has to be really, really good, like I have to absolutely love it. That's the
not
thing.
expensive, but good, right?
Yes, I have to love it. Like I have a lot of products that are cheap that I really love, and it's not about it. I have to love it. Like there has to be. It's either it progresses my brand, like it elevates my brand. And I'm being truthful. Okay, so the first thing is it's either there's three things that I can think of right now. I have to love the product for enough to actually make a video about it. The second is the product or brand could probably elevate my brand. Meaning if Apple says, hey, can you review this phone? I don't like reviewing phones, but if they said, can you review this phone? And I have Apple under my belt, I'll say yes. You know what I mean? That elevates my brand. And the third that I can think of is if it's paid.
Yeah.
And that's being completely honest because this is my way of living, right? People ask me, well, again, going back to they send you free products, like, well, I can have a bunch of iPhones here, but I can't eat the iPhones. I can't feed the iPhones to my children.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's not how life works. So if someone reaches out to me and says, can you review this product or feature this product? And if it's just a smidge interesting to me, it has to be paid for me to be to put some thought and effort towards it, because that's just how life works. And those are my main reasons basically for creating a product.
Do you think
but
that
mostly
being
I need to
paid
like
would
it first?
steer you off to not really be objective?
No. Well, actually, that's the thing. I have a very not unique, but I have my own way of wording things. Like I tell this to any collaborators. I say, if there's something about the product, well, first of all, my requirements is that I need to be completely honest with it. And I say, if I have a problem with it, like if it doesn't work, I will reach out to you first to see if there is a way to fix it.
Yeah.
And if there's no way to fix it, if there's no way around it, I need to address it. But I will address it in a respectful manner. That's what I said. Although I didn't do that for the Apple AirPods or AirPods Max, I think, because they didn't ask me. I bought it with my own money.
Yeah.
And so I had complete freedom to say whatever I want. But to your point, like it does not sway my opinion because I'm paid. Because my job, the reason that I'm getting paid is to show this, right? To show this to people, make them aware of it, bring awareness to the brand, basically. But, you know, I also, at the end of the day, I have to protect my own brand. So if I'm not being honest, then I'm hurting myself. No matter who sends me the product, I'm going to be hurting myself, right? So there's a fine line there. That's still one of those things I'm still navigating through. I'm trying to figure out. But for the most part, my compass basically is just, you know, to be completely honest. But, you know, you can do it in a respectful manner, I think.
How do you envision your channel in the future?
Actually, yeah. So it's funny because now you're asking me the questions like I'm the guest here, but
Yeah, I'm sorry.
no, it's completely fine. So how I envision my channel, really is, I didn't want to be stuck with the desk setup thing because that was my content for Instagram. And even that one, when I had the desk set up content, it was kind of, it was fairly new.
Sorry for interrupting you, but I just wanted to mention that I watched your the desk setup that you did for this friend of yours. It was a very recent video.
Royal for Royal.
Yeah. And I was going. I meant to send you a message when I watched it. It's great content. I loved it.
Thank
I
you.
really enjoyed it. And although you might have just said that you want to steer away from this, but doing this for other people or collaborating with other people and helping them bring this, you know, these new setups and ideas, it's fascinating content. I really enjoyed it.
Oh, thank you. That's very good. I appreciate that feedback. That's really nice. Actually, I'm not steering away from it. I guess what I meant was that it could be, the reason why I'm saying this because I actually have a couple more planned in the future that is the same. What I'm trying to steer away from is just showing my office. Okay. You know what I mean? Like it's like they know me as just that guy with the office, and it's like there's really no value to it. It's like I'm some guy who just like put my things around me that I liked, and
who
people
knows
liked
you
it
like
too.
this? Give me their phone number.
Right. And so I envision my channel to be basically my brand, and that is, you know, whether I'm in an office space, whether I'm driving a new car, which has yet to happen, or I'm using a new product. Like I want people to follow me for the things that I like, kind of like the people that I admire, right? Like the people I admire is, you know, I admire them because for their style or taste, whatever it is, there's something about them that I like that resonates with me. And that's kind of what I want, because I don't want to be boxed in again with just this and just that. And for some people that works, and that's great. If you thrive in it, that's awesome. For me, it's just not the case. And going back to your earlier thing, E, when you said about the desk setup, that's actually one of the things that I felt like I could capitalize on my original content, which is desk setups, but not just for me. It's for other people, and just finding the story behind it. Like before, people would say, why would you spend so much on a setup? But now we're starting to realize, especially now that we're working from home, that it's very important for your space for you to really like your space.
Yeah.
It has a different effect. It has a very huge impact on your day, your work habits, and everything. And so if I could bring that sort of like maybe even just a tad bit of that experience to other people's lives, why not? That's awesome.
It's a huge subliminal boost of morale, I think.
Yes.
That people don't realize.
Especially if you do it every day.
Yeah.
Right? Like if you work in a space, even if it's just like the way I started, I had a big desk and what did I have? I think I had a lamp that I really enjoyed. That silly lamp, that one lamp made going to that desk every day much more enjoyable.
Yeah.
And so that turned into, okay, I'm adding this.
Yeah.
And so imagine that feeling. You wake up, and I used to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning so I could start doing design work because my clients were in the East Coast.
Yeah.
So I would be up at 4 o'clock in the morning, but I was excited. I'm like, I can't wait to sit at my desk. You know, that's how it felt. And it's very important for people to feel that, I think. How about you? So I'm going to turn this around, E, before we actually end this podcast. But how about you? What is the plan for your channel? What is the goal, and what can we expect from your YouTube channel?
I'm actually very modest. Like, I don't have these plans of, you know, becoming a lot of people say in the comments, like, oh, you should be like $1 million, like not $1 million, but like a million subscribers count channel.
I think so.
And stuff like that. I have like very simple goals. My first goal for the channel was to get to a point that is able to provide for my family. Because before you get to that point, you rely on other sources of income, either savings or other type of work. Many people that have YouTube channels also have full-time jobs. So my first goal was to for the channel to be able to provide for my family if I don't do anything else, just YouTube. And I got to that point, which is great. It's fantastic. Not my next goal, and it's not number specific, is for me to be able to provide for my family with less content. Like, I would post, it's a rough example, really, like for the concept of it, but I would post, let's say, one video a month, and that video would be able to put food on the table of my family.
Yes.
Not that I'm going to be putting one video per month, but that's the goal. And if we're talking about subscribers, that little 100,000 subscriber plaque, I want to have that because it would turn off a light in my head and would make me feel good. I don't care about the next, the next.
It's that milestone.
It's just that something physical that you can just look at it. I don't even insist on having it somewhere in the frame. I just want to look at it because I have. By the way, I have this really special. It's special for me. This present from my wife when I first started doing YouTube. She somehow managed to get some YouTube gear, and she gave me this YouTube T-shirt, which I want to frame, but I want to frame it when I have this plaque.
I see.
So that they go together. And it's really something.
That's a nice gift.
It's a little goal of myself that I want to achieve. And actually, my goal for 2021 was 100,000 subscribers by the end of the year, which apparently is not going to happen. But still.
Don't say that, E.
Still
don't
pushing
say that.
Unless the algorithm gods trip somehow and they push a content of mine way beyond any of my expectations. I'm a realist. But I don't mind. Like if I have a goal of 100,000 and I do like 60 or 70, I don't mind. It's
still better than last month, right? It's still better than last year. It's progress.
Well, last year there were less than 10,000, so it's way better.
Yeah. So I like that. No, you know what it is, E. It's not really about. I like what you said. You're modest, definitely, because it's not about the numbers for you. It's about the actual results. And I feel exactly the same way because I always tell my wife, I say, the reason why I'm working so hard right now, I'm running so many things, is because I'm hoping that someday I don't have to do it. Like I would have to do it, but under less stress and more time and more meaningful, right? Like the end goal for me is so that I don't have to do so much of this work and I can spend more time with my kids.
Yeah.
And my wife. It really that is honestly the goal. I've said this so many times with Chelsea. That's why I'm working so hard.
Is your goal I like that to delegate the work to somebody else or?
No. I mean, the goal is like to actually feed the family and for the income to be enough that I don't have to stress over every week, every day I have to create content. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's taxing. It's very tiring and it's very expensive.
Yeah.
To run a channel. So the goal is for me to recoup that and also to have enough content or enough income based on the content that I put out that I can just create more meaningful content and not really worry. And actually, be able to delegate more stuff to other people. Right now, because it's a one-man team, but I don't have an editor. I don't have anyone else. So the script writing, everything.
The YouTube publishing thing is your least favorite.
Ugh. Like actually uploading it,
the SEO
like
stuff.
the descriptions, and even SEO. I know nothing about that. Like honestly, I'm just kind of winging it. So that's my least favorite part. Good. I seem to be doing something right. I need to talk to you more about this, probably some other time, because it's going to take us another hour to get through this topic. But yeah, you mentioned SEO, and I think it's one of the things that we need to talk about on this podcast, because a lot of people are probably wondering, what's the best way? We briefly talked about thumbnails just recently, right? I remember us chatting about that. So that's maybe something we can explore in the future.
I'd love to.
Obviously, this is my way of saying that I would love to have you back on the podcast whenever you have time. And it's a great honor to have you on this. I know you said that you're honored, but the honor is mine, to be honest with you. And I really appreciate you finding the time, especially now it's nighttime over there. And but yeah, E, before we end this podcast, do you have any? Can you share with the people where we can find you again, just as a reminder on your social media links?
Okay, it's on YouTube. You can find me on youtube.com/this is E. And on social media, which is Twitter and Instagram, is again, this is E, but because it wasn't available, it's this is E TV, which is ridiculous, but it,
You'll find him. Just find him on YouTube.
You can just go to YouTube, and the rest of the links are there.
There you go. And you should. You honestly should. You will not regret it. He is one of my favorite creators out there.
Thank you, Mike.
And once you watch his content, you'll understand why. But E, thank you again for being on the Coffee Creators podcast. Sorry, it's usually Chelsea's thing to say bye, but I really appreciate it. I hope you have an awesome evening. And just as a reminder for everyone, I would really appreciate it if you could rate the podcast on Apple Podcasts, or if you could just share it with your family and friends. Leave us feedback, because that's the only way that we can actually improve. And if you want to be a part of this show, reach out. Just email us or DM us on the Coffee W Creators at Instagram. And so I think that's pretty much it. That's all the housekeeping that I can remember, because this is not my thing. But thank you for listening. And if you guys are watching, thank you. And we'll see you again next time. Bye.
Bye.